Hey, what's up? Today's video, we're going to be going over the top 5 worst mutant class champions in the game. So, I've made skill and science. They both have been loved. So I'm going to keep doing this series. And yeah, I'm enjoying this series a lot. I enjoyed the top 5 best, and I have another top 5 that I would love to make too. So if you guys really do enjoy this, please drop it down in the comments. Also, as always, I'm running a challenge. I will have the video linked in the description. But basically, if I hit 500 subs before I can take my next R5 up, I will allow you guys to choose my R5. The rules and all that are in that video. Just comment down what champion you want me to take to R5, or like someone's comment that you like. The comment with the most likes gets chosen. That being said, let's go ahead and hop right into it. So, my last video was the skill video, and now we're going on to the mutants. So, the mutant class is a little bit different, as I feel there's a lot of mid-tier champs in this class. There's a lot of great tier champs, but there's a lot of mid-tier champs. So, it was really hard to pick 5. But I think I have it narrowed down, and there were a few champions I would like to put on this list instead. But these are the 5 that I wanted to really talk about. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into it. So, in my opinion, the 5th worst champion in the game is actually a newer mutant, and that is actually Wolverine X-23. So, some people might be already turning off this video. They might be checked out as soon as you see this, but I have some problems with her kit, and we need to go over them. So, she's a newly buffed champion. We voted for this buff, actually, and I don't feel like it landed. Her original kit, she was a lot like Wolverine, but she was a little bit better. I believe she was, I don't know if she had higher regen, or I think she had higher bleed damage. I don't know what it was, but she was a little bit better than OG Wolverine, but her regen was very, very potent. Some of the best regen in the game at that time. A lot of people would use the Wolverines because of that regen, and it was so easy to access. You just had to hold your bars of power and just get lucky on a regen proc, and then you would just heal back up to full, basically. So they basically rinsed her regen. It's gone. I believe she has regen on her SP3. Or where is her regen at? I can't remember what her regen is. I just remember that it basically sucks now. When Laura is struck, she has a 15% chance to gain a regen passive healing 15% of missing health over 16 seconds. Max stacks 2. As a defender, these heal 3% of missing health instead. So, that kind of sounds like a decent bit, but if you look at her side by side compared to her original regen, it is a night and day difference. It is absolutely terrible. I mean, it's nice that she still has regen in her kit, but she used to be just the most insane regener in the game, and now it's just gone. So that really does feel bad. That was a really crucial part of her kit that we love to see stay, and it just kind of got torched. But then we get into her actual kit. Her rotation is basically you want to build up these frenzy charges. They're like a passive you have on your side of the screen. You want to get them up to 100, and then you basically, it's actually a really cool way of doing damage. I personally think it's one of the coolest. But you basically, as an attacker, Laura's 4th light attack while over 100 frenzy inflicts a stun passive for 3 seconds. For every 10 frenzy above this duration is increased by 0.2. So it's a little bit longer than 3 seconds. But if you've ever watched it, the way you do damage and when that stun's on them, you just spam the light attack button and she just starts hitting really, really fast. Like she's hitting 5 combos in 1 second, basically. So she does a bunch of hits, and on those hits, she puts bleeds on the opponent. So on paper, that sounds really great. So what's the issue with her? Well, she does not have a way to lock power. And if you cannot kill in that first rotation, which granted, that rotation is pretty good and you can kill a lot of health pools, I find that you really want to be a rank above or you want to have class advantage for those health pools. But if you can't kill, the opponent's going to be at 3 bars of power and you're dead. Or you're taking a bunch of damage from a special 3. Or the alternative is you stop your combo right for a special 3 and you lose out on a ton of damage. That is a really big issue with this kit. All she really needed is some type of power lock when that stun is active, and then she does a lot of damage. But the problem is, she does not have that. There is no power lock here, which would kind of be cool if a mutant would have power lock like that, but she doesn't. the opponent has like a lower combat power rate during that attack, but it's still not quite enough to really stop you from pushing them to an SP3 without locking down your damage. That's a big issue. She does have a pretty good utility in the fact that she has a pursuit, so she can counter like the bullseyes and such. But I just feel like her kit does not work, and it's not very practical. That's just me personally. Some people might find this an absolutely crazy place to put this new Wolverine. It's kind of like how I talked about Mr. Negative, but the kit on paper sounds amazing, but it's not practical in game very often. So that is kind of a weird topic to talk about her and call her the 5th worst, because even if she isn't, she just has a very weird kit. It's very hard to maximize. That being said, we're going to get into our 4th spot here, and it is actually Gambit. It actually pains me to put Gambit here, but Gambit doesn't really have much going for him. He just has really, really good damage on that special 2 as long as you can have 10 prowess, but if you don't crit, you don't do very much damage, and that's a problem. You're basically relying on RNG for damage. I will say, he has some of the highest prestige in the game, so if you want to have a prestige awesome dude, that's him, but his kit it's very, very simple, so that can make it very, very good in some aspects. I like to say a simple kit is really good for story mode, so in story mode, if you can guarantee crit, it's a great kit, but the issue is, it doesn't work very often. I find that every 5 times I throw an SP2, I'm critting, and even then, it's just, I don't know. I don't feel like I can kill a whole health pool. But, like I said, he has really, really great damage. It's just, you gotta get lucky with that crit, and somebody had to be 4th worst. And, like I said, a lot of mutants in the game are pretty mid. I believe Gambit is below that mid spot, because also he's not a defender. Same with Wolverine X-23. They aren't defenders at all. They just aren't. You can nuke them down pretty easy. He does have a flak jacket, which kind of reduces some damage, and he doesn't take bleeds, I believe. But it's just his kit is very simple. It's very, very simple to learn. You just hold your heavy till you have 10 spade charges. You hold your block, 10 spade charges, throw the heavy, you get 10 prowess, you launch an SP2, or you can stun chain. It's just, you got to get lucky with those crits or you're doing no damage, and somebody had to be 4th worst. Even though I'm kind of a Gambit defender. I just love Gambit. He's one of my favorite mutants out there. He probably is my favorite mutant, but he's not very good in the game. So that being said, we're going to our 3rd spot. Here's another buffed mutant champion that I don't find to be very good, and that is Sabretooth. So Sabretooth back in the day, and he still is, he's meant to be a long-form content champ. The only issue with that is there is a ton of long-form champs in the mutant class that you would never want to use Sabretooth over. For example, Strife, he is not that great of a character, but as a long-form content character, he is very, very good. That is his only job, though, is really just long-form content. Onslaught, a great long-form content champion. Mr. Sinister, we saw, is a great long-form content champion. Sabretooth is meant for long-form content, but he has a weird rotation in the Furies. You have to build them up weird. He has really, really good regen, but the only reason you'd ever see that is if you get hit in the face or on defense. He can be kind of a stall defender in a way, but I've never seen a Sabretooth ranked up to this current day, so I've never had to deal with that. But his kit is meant for long-form content, but there's a lot of other champions in the game that do long-form content way better than him and way more consistent. So yeah, he's just not that great. It was kind of like Sentry's buff, where they just tried to take him and make him a long-form content champion, which he already was. So they tried to improve his kit, and they didn't do a bad job per se. I think his kit was already kind of flawed, and it was meant for way, way back in the day when he launched. So I believe he is the 3rd worst, which kind of sucks because I love this comic accurate suit that he wears. But yeah, he is probably the 3rd worst in the game, mutant that is, and I just don't feel like his kit works very well. Now, we'll move on to the 2nd worst in the game, which is actually a champ I know very little about. I know he's annoying on defense, but once you fight that Sauron in Necropolis, you don't have to deal with him anymore, and that is, of course, Sauron. I actually kind of spoiled it there, but Sauron is such a weird champion. There's a bunch of Sauron defenders out there. I don't know why, but they're like, it's like a cult to be a Sauron defender, and I've seen a few, and they're probably gonna roast me for this, but I've never seen a Sauron ranked up ever. He was one of the first 7-stars to come out, so back then, if you pulled him, he was one of the only 7-stars, so yeah, he was fine. Plus, he was kind of annoying to deal with on defense, but that got solved once Necropolis came out, and he was one of the first Necropolis bosses on a path. You just go in, you fight him, and now Sauron's just an easy defender to deal with. And quite frankly, he always kind of was an easy defender to deal with. Just if you've never fought him before, it can be quite annoying. But once you fight him a couple times, he's really not that bad on defense. Now, of course, in story mode and stuff, if you put some nodes on him, he does get really annoying. But that's all he really brings to the table. On attack, he can have good damage, but it's just such a weird play style. I don't find him to be he's just not useful in the game in the current day. I would have loved if he was an ascendable champion, so maybe people could take him up and maybe we could see some great things out of him. He just needed a little bit of a tune-up, and he needs that ascension to be great. Not even great, just to be solid, but he doesn't scale well in today's game. And I know the Sauron defenders are going to absolutely kill me for this, but I will say 5 through 2, they're kind of here on the list, and then you got their mid-tier champs. Number 1 is down here, by far the worst, and that is actually the Deadpools. So, what I mean by this, I'm just going to talk about this one, but I'm also going to include Platinum Pool, which is a little bit better, and Gold Pool, which I don't have as a 7-star, but mostly we're just going to talk about this Deadpool, because Gold Pool is locked. Well, they're all locked, basically, but Platinum Pool is kind of easy to come by nowadays. I've pulled them like 4 or 5 times. But that being said, Deadpool is like a poster child of MCOC. You see him everywhere in the game. Why does he still suck? He has regen. His regen is some of the best in the game, but he has nothing else. His damage is absolutely horrid. On defense, he's still not great. He has that regen, but if you bring a regen counter, or if you just bring a nuke, you're going to kill him. He's just not good. His kit is as it's like Wolverine. When you have a lot of power, if you just stay at SP3 and get hit, you're gonna heal for like 500 a tick. It's pretty great. That's all it is. His special 2 applies a bleed. That's pretty big if you have him all the way to the max level. Besides that, he has nothing else in his kit. We are in 2026. This champion was one of the first released. He has never got a buff. Why has he never got a buff? And he's a champion that's locked behind a paywall. You can only get him by paying money or getting lucky. And I have him twice. Yeah. He's in need for a buff. I hope he really does get a cool buff, just because he is such a cool character. Deadpool's so cool. Why is Deadpool bad, though? Why is Deadpool X-Force good? A champion that nobody asked for to be good. We all want Deadpool to be good. He got a cool upgrade to his kit, like it looks better. But then again, his old art style looked pretty good too. So I don't know. Deadpool is arguably one of the worst characters in the game. He just has regen, and if you shut off regen, he has nothing. That kind of goes for Platinum Pool. He has way more abilities, but they're kind of weird to explain. And then Gold Pool is just Gold Pool. Platinum Pool does have a cool ability though, where you can make the fight go quicker. But yeah, Deadpool, definitely the worst mutant in the game. You all know this is going to be the worst mutant. But yeah, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, comment, do all that. And yeah, go vote for my newest R5. Please consider subscribing. I think I looked in my analytics, and 99.2% of people that watch my videos on a regular are not subscribed. If we can bump that number up, or down at least, if we can bump that down, we'd be popping. But yeah, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.